حرزنا حرزنا للمنى حبرنا هو الماجد للعلا.
Bismillah awalan wa akhira. Respected audience worldwide, the world today is suffering, is bleeding internally, let alone the people living in it. We see the truce between Hamas and Israel and the tension before this truce, what had happened in the world. And as a result of this, the hate crime that some people are carrying. And just few hours ago, we've seen what Jason did to Hisham, Kenan, and Ahmed, the Palestinian students, that terrorizing act that Jason did to those three Muslims in Vermont, shooting them. So during this tough time and this hardship, we would like to learn some things from the teachings of As-Sahaba, the way they survived each and every trial, and the way they succeeded and successfully came out of each and every turmoil that they faced during their lives. The best among them when it comes to trial is Hudhayfa ibn al-Yamani, who said, كان الناس يسألون رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الخير وكنت أسأله عن الشر مخافة أن يدركني. He said the companions and the disciples of the Prophet often will ask the Prophet about al-khair, good things, and I often ask about ash-shar, bad things, so that I will know how to deal with it in case I encounter it. So Sahaba used to go to him, including Umar, asking him for some deep questions that nobody had an answer for except Hudhayfa ibn al-Yamani. So Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal in his Musnad, Imam Abu Bakr ibn Abi Shayba in his Musannif, as well as Imam Abu Nu'aym Al-Asbahani in his Hilya, they all collected the following hadith from Hudhayfa ibn al-Yamani mawqufan, that he said, وُكِلَتِ الْفِتْنَةُ إِلَى ثَلَاثٍ, that trial has been entrusted to three types of people. So based on this Hudhayfli advice, there has never been any trial except there are three different types of people behind it. The first type is Al-Haddin Harir. The second type is Al-Khatib. And the third is As-Sayyid. Al-Haddin Harir is the sharp-witted person, and Al-Khatib is the preacher, and As-Sayyid is a master or a noble person. Hudhayfa explained who the Hadd al-Nahrir is. He said, الَّذِي إِذَا ارْتَفَعَ إِلَيْهِ شَيْءٌ مِّنَ الْفِتْنَةِ عَالَجَهُ بِسَيْفِهِ. He is someone who knows nothing during trials but his own sword. He just slashes people. He just goes on people right, left, and center, above and below. He knows nothing but his own sword. And this is said to be the ruler or his own deputies and ministers, that when there is trial, they expect you to be behind them and not to do anything without their own approval. If you go against them, they slash you or they put you behind bars. That is Al-Haddun Harir. And the second type of people who are always behind afflictions or trials is Al-Khatib. Imam Hudhayfa ibn al-Yamani explained who Al-Khatib is. Before you think he is referring to someone who mounts the pulpit or mimbar every Friday, that's not the Khatib Al-Hudhayfa ibn al-Yamani is referring to. Hudhayfa here is talking about someone who yu'ajjijul fitna, someone who entices the problem, entices the trial, always inviting people, sharing different types of scenes or different types of clips just to cause anxiety. Sometimes they will even bring lies to people just to confuse people, just to increase them in anger and increase them in distress. That is Al-Khatib. And this Khatib could be Shaitan. You remember in the battle of Uhud, Shaitan screamed, قتل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. He screamed and shouted that Prophet Muhammad was killed. When Sahaba heard that, they sat and they quit fighting. We are behind him and now he is killed. What else left? Some of them sat and they stopped fighting until Anas ibn al-Nadr came. When he saw them sitting, he asked them, why are you guys sitting and we are on the battlefield? They said, Ushi'a maqtalu Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. It is broadcast all over that the Prophet is killed. Anas ibn al-Nadr subsequently said, فماذا تفعلون بالحياة بعده قوموا فموتوا على ما مات عليه رسول الله. If the messenger of Allah is killed, what do you need this life for? What else left for you in this dunya? Get up and go pursue the same thing that he pursued until his end, until his last emission of breath, until he passed away. If he is dead or he died upon al-Islam for this deen, what else left for you? What are you waiting for? So he said, get up and die upon what the Prophet died upon. And this ignited the love of Akhirah and Jannah in their hearts. So the Khatib on the day of Uhud was a shaitan, the Satan. He caused people to give up until Anas ibn al-Nadr came back in and he gave them that strong reminder. So whenever there is fitna, you have to be watchful. You may have Khatib. That Khatib could be shaitan. That Khatib could be a news channel. That Khatib could be an organization. That Khatib could be a masjid. That Khatib could be someone's influence. That Khatib could be someone's wealth. So we have a lot and so many khutaba that when it comes to fitna, they will be behind it. And Hudhayfa said the last of the three is as-sayyid. As-sayyid means the noble individual. As-sayyid means a noble person. Hudhayfa explained it as a person who is rooted in knowledge. Ar-rasikh fil ilm. Someone who is deeply rooted in knowledge. That is the one that Hudhayfa meant by as-sayyid. So he is not only knowledgeable, he is well rooted and he deals with trials based on what the knowledge requires of him. So he deals with trials with knowledge and wisdom, not his emotions, not his whims, not his own desires. If they did that, we coming after you. If that's what Israel did, you're gonna see what I will say. Hamas, this is your problem. Hamas, you are this. Hamas invite people with a sunnah and forget that what you doing, calling it jihad. So you will, al-sayyid is not like that. As-sayyid is a person of knowledge and wisdom. He is knowledgeable and wise. He puts things in perspective. When he speaks with knowledge. When he remains silent, he remains silent with knowledge. Some people may think as-sayyid is someone who is always against the Muslim leadership. He is always talking bad about Muslim leadership. That where are the Arabs? Where are the Muslim leadership? And cursing them, and always he is against them. Some people will think he is the most courageous person. Kalla wallah. The one who is always going against the leadership or the Muslim leadership is not the Sayyid. And conversely, someone who is always with the leadership and he does not disagree with the leadership whatsoever, whether the leadership is upon the truth or upon the falsehood, he always believes that they are Waliyul Amr. Since he is Waliyul Amr, it doesn't matter what he does. He can act according to his own whims. Even if he commands with bad things and with ma'siyah, since he is Waliyul Amri, you still have to obey him. In this manner, they go against the Amr of Waliyu Amrihi. You have to know that Waliyul Amr also has someone who is Waliyu Amrihi. Waliyul Amr, the ruler or the leader, he has someone above him. The Prophet is above him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above all. So you have to see what your Waliyul Amri is inviting you or asking you to say. Is it in accordance to what Allah and His Messenger command? If yes, then you obey. If He commands you with that which goes against the command of Allah and His Messenger, فَلَا طَاعَةَ لِمَخْلُوقٍ فِي مَعْصِيَةِ الْخَالِقِ بِذَا نَطَقَ سَيِّدُ الْحُكَمَاءِ وَأَمِيرُ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ عَلَيْهِ صَلَاةُ صلوات من رفع السماء ونصب أحدا وحراء. So that was the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. His command is above everybody's. So a Sayyid is with the leadership when the leadership is right, and he goes against the leadership when the leadership is wrong, but he does not entice people to go against the leadership or fight, as this is the concept of Khawarij. A Sayyid does not do that. He advises the leadership and does not curse them or does not announce to people to go against them, although he never remains silent. We have so many asiyad that are imprisoned because of that in different parts of the world. May Almighty take care of them. Allahumma ameen. Ibadallah, slaves of Allah, it is said that Shaykh Abdul Aziz ibn Bazin alayhi rahmatu rabbil ibad, he was asked, we see some injustice and indecencies going on. Do we need to wait for a command from Wali al-Amri before we command the good and forbid the evil? He said, Kalla. When it comes to commanding the good and forbidding the evil, لأن الذي أمر بالأمر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر هو رب العباد. He said, when it comes to commanding the good and forbidding the evil, you don't need anybody's permission for that, because it is amr from Allah. If you can do it with your words, do it. If you can do it by stopping it physically, do it. If you cannot do it except by writing against it, do it. If you cannot do it except by explaining it to people and letting them know that it's wrong and munkar, do it. If you cannot do it at all with any of the aforementioned or with any of what you just heard, at least do it and dislike it with your heart. And this is the lowest level of Iman. So there's no way for you to say, I have to wait. You have these options, either with your tongue, with your hands, or with your heart. So someone else will know in your heart what your heart contains other than Allah. Al-jawabu la wa alfu la. So Abdullah, servant of Allah, know that during the trials, they always will be Al-Khatib and As-Sayyid. As-Sayyid always speaks with wisdom. He is not saying what his own followers want from him, and he remains silent, because if he says certain things, he will lose audience, he will lose some cash from YouTube, he may lose some recognition, or he may be bashed, tagged, and dumped. No, he doesn't think like that. He's always behind the truth. Even if his enemy is upon the truth, he will support his enemy, because his enemy is right at that point. Why? Because Allah said, Kunu qawwamina bil qist shuhada'a lillah walau ala anfusikum. You have to be upright and stand with the truth, by the truth, along the truth, even if that truth is against yourself, against your own parents, against your own kings, against your own relatives, and somebody else that is your enemy is right, you still have to be with them and give them their right. وَلَا تَكُلْ لِلْخَائِنِينَ خَصِيمًا. Imam Hudhayfa, who provided the triangle of trial for us, he said, فَأَمَّا الْأَوَّلُ وَالثَّانِي. As for the first two, Al-Hadd al-Nahrir and the Khatib, فَتَقْمَعُهُمَا الْفِتْنَةُ فَتَبْطَحُهُمَا عَلَى وَجْهَيْهِمَا. As for the sharp-witted person and the preacher, whenever they stand in front of trials, because they are not well equipped, they will be smashed, curbed, tagged, and flattened by the fitna. They will be flattened by the trials, because they don't have the wisdom of dealing with the trial. So that's why the first and the second, Al-Hadd al-Nahrir and Al-Khatib, they will be flattened on their faces by the trial. But as for As-Sayyid, the master and the noble person who speaks with knowledge and wisdom, Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmati wal maw'izati al-hasana. As for a Sayyid, whose objectives in life is to invite people to what is pleasing to Allah, calling to Allah, not to his organization, not to his channel, not to his masjid, not to his company, not to his fame, not to his brand, not to his people, not to his ethnic group. He is always inviting people to Allah. Because of that, He does not care much about what people say about him. They may tag him, they may tarnish his image, but he's upon the path because it doesn't matter to him what people say about him. All what he cares about is the truth that he's inviting people to. So this as-Sayyid, Imam Hudhayfa said, wa amma Sayyid. As for a Sayyid, he is not curbed, he is not flattened, he is not suppressed by the trial. Rather, تبحثه الفتنة فتخرج ما عنده من العلم والحكمة. The more he goes through turmoil, the more he is afflicted, the more he is trial, the more he increases in knowledge and wisdom. That is a Sayyid that we need. In every problem, we have a Sayyid. When Muslims apostatized, when some Muslims apostated after the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Sayyid of this trial was As-Siddiq Abi Bakr. And during the battle of As-Siffin, the Sayyid of that time was Ali ibn Abi Talib. And during the fitna of Al-Hajjaj, the Sayyid of that time was Sa'id ibn Jubair. So during this Hamas and Israel problem, are you the Sayyid? Will you be the Sayyid? If you can be the Sayyid, don't be behind Khatib. Don't prefer what Al-Hadd al-Nahrir does. If you can be a Sayyid, search for who the Sayyid is and be behind him. Because a Sayyid speaks with wisdom and knowledge, not his own emotions or what people or the trend is suggesting. You with your family, when you have hardship and going through tests, be the Sayyid of your family. In your masjid, when you have problem between the Imam and the president of the masjid, or the Imam and the Musallin, or between the Imam and the board of the masjid, if you can be a Sayyid, don't be Al-Hadd al-Nahrir or Al-Khatib. And remember, forever in your life, you will face different types of trials. Whenever you are tested, be a Sayyid or behind a Sayyid, and don't be the Khatib. So my brother, if you are having issue with your wife, be the Sayyid, not Al-Hadd al-Nahrir or Al-Khatib. My sister, if you are going through tough time with your husband, be a Sayyida, not Al-Hadd al-Nahrir or Al-Khatib behind. If you are going through some tough time with your children, be a Sayyid. My brother, be a Sayyid or behind a Sayyid. And in conclusion, I say, As-Sunnah is the lifeline of the Muslim Ummah. Remain blessed. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
حرزنا حرزنا الإنجاز